Hey everybody, this is Perch. This is a long ass email, but a lot of people have been talking about Miles Morales as Thor. So this is somebody saying, well, the subject line of the email intrigued me, and it says, "What if someone put some effort into Miles Morales as Thor?" So I admit I'm intrigued. So let's see what it says. It says, "Hey Perch, been a fan of your videos for a while. Love how your video essays keep the discussion real by looking for the potential in Marvel comics and also identifying the mistakes for hopeful creators rather than just bashing them all wholesale. I was going to chime in with a letter about the Avengers Charter and how documents like that help add realism to the universe, but your discussion of the editors on What If Miles Morales #4 and their lack of accountability struck me especially. As a Thor fan, I've been mulling on how to fix this premise. While the editors could have done their job, photoshopping away the graffiti and telling the writer to replace the dialogue, it felt painfully obvious that the issue was phoned in on both ends. Like the author couldn't figure out an interesting way to get Miles in Thor's shoes, so he just upended everything and went with, "Everything's different, now I can just merge all the characters." Like bashing different puzzle pieces together with a hammer. And on the editor's side, they probably rubber stamped the issue after flipping through and checking off boxes for what makes a Thor story. Well, you got Odin, Loki, Frost Giants, Asgard. All right, you're good to go. Instead of trying to fit it into continuity themselves. Now, in fairness, this is a what if issue, but yes, your point is taken. I want to keep true to the spirit of what if's concept potential, indulging in the Kirby-esque madness of Marvel's Asgard, while still emphasizing Miles' uniqueness and what people like about him. My solution would be to have Miles become Thor, except we actually use Thor's classic origin. Basically, Odin banishes Thor's soul to Midgard so he can learn humility, but instead of Donald Blake, he reincarnates him into Miles' body. He grows up in his teen years, raised by Jeff and Rio, while the gnarled tree branch that Mjolnir become is found by archaeologists and brought to New York for a Viking exhibit. Then, during a field trip to the museum, Loki attacks Miles and his classmates in a preemptive attempt to destroy his brother's host body. A magical fight breaks out, the weapon's casing is smashed, Miles grabs a stick, strikes Loki with it, and boom, it turns into Mjolnir, and Thor is reborn looking like an adult, muscular version of Miles. He still has the powers, but since he's got a Shazam thing going on and a mortal family to protect, that presents a whole stew pot of potential rather than just the MCU-flavored candy bar of the original. Imagine Thoralis being torn between his Midgard family with Jeff and Rio and his Asgard family with Odin and Frigga. Trying to cope with his godly duties while keeping up with his schoolwork asks multiple questions. Would he still be destined to wed Lady Sif and take the Allfather's throne, or would he wait until he comes of age? Will Loki pick on Miles as his little brother, or try and destroy him all the same? How would Miles being Thor affect the formation of the Avengers, and more importantly, does anyone suspect him being a kid from Brooklyn? How does Thor's different frame of reference change the Shakespearean wording of the warrior's personality? Would he use his command over storms to avert hurricanes and their disasters? Whatever happened to Jane Foster, Eric Masterson, Beta Ray Bill, now that Donnie Blake doesn't cross their paths? How would Miles treat rivals like Hercules and Hulk differently, or characters we wouldn't normally see him tower over, like Iron Man and Captain America? And how does Jeff Davis feel about Odin, this powerful god from another realm, always summoning Miles, thrusting all his responsibility on his shoulders and calling him my son, when all he really wants is for Thor to show up? I'm not sure if I should commission someone to write a fanfic or illustration based on this idea, but I think it's a much more constructive way to critique the concept and open people up to the wider Marvel universe. That was a long mail. What do you have to say? Well done. No, I mean, look, yeah, that's a way better idea than what we saw by miles. It's a no pun intended. It's a way better idea, and I think what's interesting about what you showed there, and so this becomes a video not really about your idea or how to do Miles What If better, but about why people don't take this approach. Because I mean no offense by what I'm about to say, but your approach is common sense. It's obvious. It's taking kind of the origin point of Thor, and it's saying, let's recreate that. That is what if is. Let's recreate that origin story, but with a twist. And the twist here is, instead of Donald Blake, it's Miles, and then different things occur. And that's such an obvious, easy, straightforward way to go about it that you start to wonder, why didn't they go about it that way? That is that would make a compelling story. There's so much more to do. This is the kind of the whole concept behind both What If and comics in general is the idea is the potential. It's to say, hey, now that some things are different, and the whole basis around What If stories was, here's something you really, really know. Now let's tweak a tiny part of it. And once we've tweaked that, what are the kind of crazy differences that start to occur? Now, here's the part that I find mildly aggravating, and that's that the What If cartoon they did on Disney Plus seemed to get the concept of what if better than the comics. And how can that possibly be? If you look at those cartoons, and I'm not saying they were masters of art or brilliant by any stretch of the imagination, but they did stick to the, hey, if one small thing was different and people behaved a different way, it would have this cascading spiral effect. And that is fun and worth looking at. And that's what the show did. And that's what people want when they think about this whole comic of What If. But even going beyond What If, that's generally what people want out of comics. They want to have potential set up. Here's a scenario. Here's something unique. Here's something either big or small. Maybe Bullseye is killing Elektra. Okay, how is Daredevil going to react? How is the world going to change and shift around him? What's going to be different? Or, maybe it's something very, very simple, like, hey, there is perhaps a mystery that there is a third Summers brother. So how is Scott and Havoc going to react knowing that they're not alone? And who is that brother? And how does it all... these are all relatively simple things that create a universe of story potential. And I find that in many cases with comics, there is almost this, there's just no desire to lean into the potential. The Thor What If story was almost, I hate to beat up on the writer and the creative team and the editorial and everyone else, but it still comes across like, hey, we need to collect a check. The goal here is we're not going to get paid very much. So I would like to make a check doing, not the most creative work in the world. This isn't meaningful to me. I'm just going to put this comic out there and I'm going to get paid. And this is going to keep the electricity on this month. And, then we're going to try and get another comic. And I want to shift gears for a second to tell you about a conversation I had with a friend. And they are a friend, I would say, who's a writer. And the writer is terrified to come onto the show because they're worried that somebody's going to, say you're on with the evil Perch. And so, it's going to hurt their chances. And given that the writer is not established, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I doubt it. Not enough people. Look, the people who enact the most revenge out of my show tend to be on the anti-establishment side, bluntly. I have definitely seen, the copies of the DM saying if you become friends with Perch, we're not going to promote you over here. Not coming from Marvel or DC, but coming from the crowdfunding side. And yeah, that's probably video in and of itself, but that tends to be more and more of that shit happens. Sorry, and I know I'm speaking to a lot of my audience right now who supports those things, and I support them too, but come on, guys, you got to get past that. Anyway, that's, again, sorry for the brief diversion. But the writer person I'm talking to has this amazing idea. And but I'm going to be honest, the idea may or may not be amazing. I don't know. But to the writer themselves, it's an amazing idea. It's the definition of the great American novel they have stored in their head. They really want to write this story, to put this stuff on paper. They're desperate to bring this thing into the world. But they don't have the means to do it right now. They're not able to. So, therefore, they are biding their time. They're basically taking on work for the big two that, gets them by, that allows them to write a story, cash a check, and then hopefully keep cashing a check. And then, at some point, they'll have enough money or credibility, they'll be able to take that shot and write their great American novel. This is my opinion, and only my opinion. It represents no one else, and I've said this to this writer before. And it's this. Imagine a world where you die in a car crash tomorrow. You get on that plane to go to that Comic-Con, and the plane goes down. It's a horrible accident. You're dead. It's over. Why bide your time? Why write fairly pedestrian, unimportant comics that like this what if Miles Morales Thor story? Why do that? Why waste you're wasting your life. Your life is finite. Anything can happen anytime, as the world has proven to us. You can have a natural disaster. There could be a shooting, God forbid. There could be all kinds of things that happen to you that put an end to your life. Go for it. Go for it today. You don't have time to fuck around with stories that are just, peddling, wasting moments. Get in there, and if you've got a great story in your mind, swing for the fences. And I will tell you that every really successful comic writer, several comic creator, got themselves mentally to the point where they weren't going to play it safe anymore, and they were going to swing for the goddamn fences. Do it. Don't hold yourself back. In comics, there's no reason to. Now, granted, if you're working for a biotech company and you're developing a cancer drug, hold yourself back a little bit. Do the tests. Make sure that you're getting your stuff right. You don't want to create weird mutant hybrid people. You gotta be careful. But in comics, every story you write should be you swinging for the fences. It should be you going out there and leaving it all on the plate. It's you trying to do amazing work. If you tell people and you tell yourself, well, this isn't a story I really love, but I need that check, so, I'm just going to write this thing, and it's not my best work, but hey, I'm getting paid, and, hopefully this gets me in good with the company, and I get to do another comic. No. How about you go for broke? Just try it. Comics should not be a safe place. It should not be a place for being careful. So to the point, the guy who, I'm assuming male. I don't know. I don't assume your gender. The person who wrote in this mail, even male. So the person who wrote this email, this missive, this correspondence, the person who put that in, your idea is way better than the comic we got. And everybody involved in that comic should feel ashamed that you were able to do that. Now, I don't know if this is an idea you've had in your head for 50 years and it's been percolating all this time, or if you came up with it in the last week. But you came up with a better concept and a better story than what we got in the comic. And no offense intended, again, that was not a brilliant idea. That was just a very well executed, obvious idea. And that, it's sad that that's our standard, but that's where we need people going. Execute your ideas to the best of your ability. Try. Make something that we'll remember. I've done videos like this before. Give your audience some memories. Miles doing kind of a jokey tennis shoe, version of Asgard sucks. There's nothing special. There's nothing unique about that. And I guarantee you, I know the writer's a good person, and I feel for him, and I think it's insane that you donated your money away. I think you should have only done that when you got a commitment from the editor to do it as well. But whatever. Come on. A lot of you people out there, a lot of you comic writers, and I know there's a decent amount of you that listen to this channel. You're good people and you have good ideas in your head. Stop holding yourself short. Go for it. Swing for the fucking fences. Because you could die tomorrow. You could die tonight. And then your great American novel is never going to get told. What are you waiting for? Thanks for listening.